Mrs.
Yeah,
Host.
talk now. Make Miss, can you hear us?
Grade 5,
Miss, can you hear
No.
us?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I please answer the question?
Please answer number 12. Sorry, Tanahi.
And every time you got out, you say
I think she lost connection.
No, I'm here, guys. Can you hear me?
Mr. Con. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes, we can hear you.
Mr. Nahi, want to answer the question?
Go ahead, Tanahi.
Okay.
We saw.
We saw
Several.
several photographs. They were old photographs.
Okay, old. We saw several. How do we combine them?
We saw several old photographs.
Excellent. Thank you, Tanahi.
You're
Number
welcome.
13, Habiba.
Yes, miss. We came across a little. It was something little.
Miss Habiba has a background noise.
Yeah, go ahead, Habiba. It was what?
Across.
All right, give me an adjective to fill in the blank.
Miss, you are lagging.
No, I'm not lagging. I'm not speaking. Continue.
Miss, you are lagging. What's Emre?
There's someone has a background noise.
Habiba, are you there?
She closed the.
Yes.
Okay, Habiba. Think of an adjective here. Okay, what about the adjective long, for example? It was a long letter. How do we combine?
Long.
How do we combine it now?
It was a long letter.
Okay, so how do we combine them? Excellent. We came across a long letter. Thank you. Let's see. Number 14. Number 14. Howday?
Miss, can I do it?
Okay, Yasina Duane, can you do number 14?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I will do it now. We found the clothing. The clothing was dirty.
Okay, we found dirty clothing. All right. Okay, is that how we combine them? We found clothing. Clothing was dirty. We found dirty clothing.
Clothing.
Thank you, Yasin. Yasin Hisham, number 15.
We returned the
Trunk.
to its hiding place. The hiding place was wonderful.
Was what?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay.
I think
He
Did you say wonderful? I can't hear you.
wonderful.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys. Now, normally I put a grammar sheet for you. I upload a grammar sheet. Today's homework, you're going to complete the practice workbook page because we didn't have enough time to do it. So your homework is to complete.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
again. Like every time.
For the 2
No,
million
she
time.
didn't listen.
Okay, guys, can you hear me? So
Yes.
we lost connection, sorry. I was telling you that we normally complete the practice workbook page, but since we don't have time and since we lost
Miss, I do not finish, please. 1 minute.
okay, I will give you time to finish writing. So your homework will be the practice workbook page for combining sentences adjectives. This is page 59 in your practice workbook, and I will also put a note about it on Smart Schools, okay?
I solved it.
So just
Page
like the
59
other,
is a homework.
page 59,
I
yes, in the
solved it.
practice workbook, okay? So now we need to go ahead and move on to this week's story that we started yesterday but did not finish.
Miss,
Okay.
I
Miss,
didn't
1 minute.
finish.
I do not finish.
You didn't finish? Okay.
I finished. Me too.
Miss, why you lost connection a lot?
Because I'm at school.
For
So the
the
connection isn't strong
2001
like it is at home.
For 1 million time.
Yeah. For about 5 times. Or 3.
Not 5 times, guys. It's
Okay, guys.
3 times.
Are you
3
done?
or 2.
Can we move on to the
Yes.
story?
Yes, we
No.
can.
Yes,
No,
we
yes,
can
yes.
go to the story. Miss, will you read or we will read?
I can read if
No.
you guys would like
The
to.
miss will read because we do not have a time.
Yeah, I prefer to read, okay?
Miss,
Okay,
what
no
is the
problem.
homework page?
The homework page is 59 in your practice workbook. Okay, I will make a notebook. I will make a note about it on Smart Schools also. Okay, so this is where we stopped yesterday. The first of our guests to arrive were the Ings, a Chinese American family. And I remember, I think Amr asked me what Chinese American means. It means that
Yes.
there is, so the mother or the father is Chinese and the other is American. Paul Ing, their son, was in eldest brother's class. Paul and second sister were beginning to be interested in each other, although we pretended we didn't notice. I was glad that second sister had finally thrown away her Chinese cloth clothes. They had developed big holes, and we could see her toes wiggling around inside. Tonight, she was wearing a new pair of sneakers she'd bought with her babysitting money. The Omiras arrived next. Kim Omira was my best friend in school, and we'd been at each other's house lots of times. The last to arrive were the Connors. Did you have a question, Tanahi?
No, suddenly there was no voice from.
Okay. Aisel, do you have a question?
Yeah, miss?
Yes, Reem?
Where are you? Where are you?
We are here on the Amira. The Omiras arrived next.
Okay.
Paragraph, okay?
Okay, miss.
Aisel, do you have a question? You're raising your hand? No? Okay. The last to arrive were the Connors. My youngest brother's best friend was Matthew Connor, who was a really good violinist and took lessons from my father. Happy New Year, Sprout, Matthew said to fourth brother. Sprout was my brother's nickname, because for school lunch he used to eat sandwiches filled with stir-fried bean sprouts. Now he eats peanut butter and jelly sandwiches just like his friends, but the nickname stuck. Because we had too many people to seat around the dining table, we served dinner buffet style, and the guests helped themselves to the food. When they saw all the dishes arranged on the dining table, they exclaimed at how beautiful everything looked. Oh no, it's really plain, simple food, said Mother. I've only added a few small things for the new year. So this is polite, right? To say it's really plain, simple food. Of course, we know because we read the story how much time it took her and The salad that she made took forever, right? But to be respectful, she says, "Oh no, it's really plain, simple food." Although it's a big spread that she did, and it was very tiring for her. The guests paid no attention to her and began to help themselves. Mrs. Connor wanted to know how Mother had cooked the fish. Mrs. Ing said that she also cooked fish and served noodles on New Year, but she didn't do the tin vegetable salad. Maybe it wasn't served in the part of China where her family originally came from. Nobody had complaints about the food from the way they devoured it, so they completely disappeared, all the food disappeared, and came back for seconds. So after they finished their plate, they made a second plate. The kids even ate up the salad. Kim O'Meara laughed when she saw her brother Jason taking a second helping. "Hey Jason, I thought you hate vegetables." Jason's mouth was full, so he mumbled in answer. Mrs. O'Meara looked at me and smiled. "I bet you and your mom put a lot of work into making that salad, Mary. Doesn't it hurt to see it disappear in a matter of minutes?" It was a lot of work to make the tin vegetable salad. I got a blister on my finger from slicing all those celery and carrot sticks. "I'm glad to see how much you people like it," I said. "You'll all be very healthy this coming year." Looking at the platters of food getting emptied, I began to worry. "We'd better do something about dessert," I whispered to Mother. "At this rate, our guests would still be hungry after the main courses were finished." "But I never make dessert," Mother whispered back. "Dessert isn't something Chinese normally eat at the end of a meal, at the end of a dinner." So I ran into the kitchen, found a carton of almond cookies, and hurriedly dumped them on a
Where
platter.
are you?
We're on page 187, Reem. Okay, the paragraph before the last. When I put the platter on the dining table, the cookies disappeared before I could say abracadabra. Abracadabra was one of the words in my little notebook. Since it was a weekday night, people didn't stay long after the last cookie crumb was eaten. There was a congestion at the front door as the guests thanked us for inviting them and showing them what a real Chinese New Year dinner was like.
الناس دخلت.
لا بس المس بتقولي
So we're back to... Can you hear me, guys?
Miss, the third 100 million time listing
Miss, this is the
Miss,
Okay, so I'm going to continue reading. And anything that you missed, I will upload the video on Smart Schools. If I lose connection, you will be able to hear it because I'm the one who's recording from my laptop. All right, so we're on page 188. The fish was delicious. Mrs. Ing said to Father, "I'll have to get the recipe from your wife one of these days. She's a wonderful cook, isn't she?" "Oh no, she's not a good cook at all," said Father. "You're just being polite." I heard a little gasp from my friend Kim. She stared wide-eyed at Father. "What's the matter, Kim?" I asked. Instead of answering, Kim turned to look at Mrs. O'Meara, who was saying to my mother, "I loved your tin vegetable salad. Even the kids loved it, and they don't usually eat their vegetables. You and the girls must have spent hours doing all that fine dicing and slicing." "The girls did the cutting, and I'm sorry they did such a terrible job," said Mother. "I'm embarrassed at how thick those pieces of celery were." I heard another little gasp from Kim, who was now staring at Mother. But I didn't get a chance to ask her what the problem was. The O'Mearas were going out the front door, and the rest of the guests followed. How come your father and your mother were so nasty last night?" asked Kim when we were walking to the school bus stop the next morning. "What do you mean?" I asked. I didn't remember Father or Mother acting nasty. What does this mean? That they were rude. Okay, she's saying, why were your parents so rude? And so she doesn't know what she's talking about. "It was when Mrs. Ing was telling your dad what a good cook your mom is." "That's right, Mrs. Ing did say something about Mother being a good cook. So what's bothering you?" I asked. Kim stopped dead. "Didn't you hear your dad?" she demanded. "He said that your mom wasn't a good cook at all, and that Mrs. Ing was just being polite." I still didn't understand why Kim was bothered. So what? People are always saying things like that. But Kim wasn't finished. "And then when my mom said how hard you worked to cut up the vegetables, your mom said she was embarrassed by what a terrible job you did in slicing. I had to laugh. She doesn't mean it. It's just the way she talks." When the school bus arrived and we got on, Kim began again. Then why do your parents keep saying these bad things if they don't mean it? I'd be really hurt if my mom said I did a terrible job after I worked so hard too. What Kim said made me thoughtful. I suddenly realized that whenever people said good things about us, my parents always contradicted them and said how bad we really were. We kids knew perfectly well that our parents didn't mean it, so our feelings weren't hurt in the least. It was just the way Chinese parents were supposed to talk. Finally, I said to Kim, I think that if my parents agreed with the compliments, then that would be the same as bragging. It's good manners to contradict people when they compliment your children. It's bragging only if you say good things about yourself, protested Kim. It's different when your parents are talking about you. I shook my head. We Chinese feel it's the same thing. Boasting about our children or husband or wife is the same as boasting about ourselves. People even think it's bad luck. It was Kim's turn to be thoughtful. So that's why your parents never said what good musicians you were. That would be bragging, right? So do we understand what happened here? Here, these things that were said by mom and dad, by the mother and the father, it's common in China when somebody compliments you, you contradict it. All right. Otherwise, it's like saying yes. It's like bragging. All right. So if somebody says you're an amazing cook, if you say thank you, this means that you believe and you know that you're an amazing cook, so that it's considered as showing off, as bragging. And this is considered bad manners in China. But of course, this is the culture clash, and this is the difference in the culture of the Chinese and the Americans that shows here. Because in China, it's totally acceptable for the parents to contradict anything that is said nice about their children. Otherwise, it's like they are bragging about their children, and this is considered bad manners. Music is the most important thing in our family. My elder brother plays the violin, my second sister plays the viola, and I play the cello. We all practice very hard, and I know Father thinks we are all doing well, only he has never said so to other people. The funny thing is, continued Kim, your kid brother is the only one in your family who isn't a good musician, but I've never heard your parents say anything about how badly he plays. I thought over what Kim said about fourth brother. He is the only one in our family who is no good at all with music, but we don't talk about his terrible ear. Finally, I said, it's like this. We're not hurt when we hear our parents say bad things about us, since we know they're only doing it because it's good manners. We know perfectly well that they don't mean it. But if they say my younger brother has a terrible ear, they'd really be telling the truth. So they don't say anything, because that would hurt his feelings. Kim rolled her eyes. Boy, this is confusing. Your parents can't tell the truth about your playing because it would be bragging. And they can't say anything about your brother's playing because that would be the truth. Because that would be telling the truth. I grinned. Right, you got it. I think Kim understood what I was driving at. She didn't make a face when she heard my mother saying that the cookies second sister baked for the PTA bake sale were terrible. After our spring festival party, the days became longer and cherry trees burst into bloom. The baseball season began, and fourth brother's team played an opening game against another school. My brother might have a terrible ear for music, but he was turning out to be a really good baseball player. In the seventh inning, fourth brother hit a home run, something he had wanted to do for a long time but had never managed before. All his teammates crowded around to congratulate him. You did it, Sprout, you did it, shouted Matthew Connor, his best friend. Mr. Connor turned to father. I bet you're proud of the boy. He was just lucky when he hit that home run, said father. Overhearing the exchange, Kim turned to me and smiled. I see what you mean, she whispered. That Easter, the O'Mearas invited our family for dinner. I knew that Easter was a solemn religious holiday, but what I noticed most was that the stores were full of stuffed rabbits and fuzzy baby chicks. Chocolate eggs were everywhere. For the dinner, Mrs. O'Meara cooked a huge ham. She had also made roast potatoes, vegetables, salad, and the biggest chocolate cake I had ever seen. I had eaten a lot at Thanksgiving dinners, but this time I stuffed myself until I was bursting. The rest of my family did pretty well too. We all loved ham. As Mrs. O'Meara started cutting up the cake for dessert, Mother said, I'm not sure if I can eat one more bite. That was the best ham I've ever tasted. Aw, that ham was terrible, said Kim. I bet you could do a lot better, Mrs. Yang. There was a stunned silence around the table. Mrs. O'Meara stared at Kim, and her face slowly turned dark red. I heard a low growl from Mr. O'Meara. You and I are going to have a little talk later this evening, young lady, he said to Kim. Our family was speechless with surprise. My parents, my brothers, and sister all stared at Kim. I was the most shocked because Kim was my best friend. And in the 2 years since I've known her, I'd never seen her do or say anything mean. How could she say something so cruel about her own mother? The rest of the evening was pretty uncomfortable. Our family left early because we could all see that Mr. and Mrs. O'Meara were waiting impatiently to have their little talk with Kim as soon as we were gone. So what happened here? Here, Kim understood from the Chinese family the habits and the customs that they have, and it is normal to say, to contradict anything that is said to you that is nice, all right? So she thinks that this is acceptable, but of course there are different cultures, okay? So everyone is shocked when she says, the ham was terrible. I bet you could do a lot better. I bet you could do a lot better. So of course this is very rude, and everyone is shocked by this, but she thinks that this is acceptable and this is a normal thing to say. She thinks that she thinks that said something, instead of saying something nice, she should say this. But of course the mother is very embarrassed and the father is embarrassed for the way that the daughter acted, and this is not normal in their tradition. Next morning at the school bus stop, Kim wouldn't even look at me. Finally, I cleared my throat. I can hear you. You have a question?
Miss, your leg. Miss,
Yes?
No, you didn't like us.
Okay.
Miss, your voices go away.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
But can you please start from the beginning of the paragraph?
Sure. Next morning at the school bus stop, Kim wouldn't even look at me. Finally, I cleared my throat. What made you talk like that to your mother, Kim? I asked. Kim whirled around. She looked furious. But you were the one who told me that saying nice things about your own family was the same as bragging, she stuttered. Last night, I was just trying to act modest. I finally saw the light. I saw how Kim had misunderstood what I had said. Listen, Kim, I said, Chinese parents are supposed to say critical things about their own children, and husbands and wives can say bad things about each other. But young people must always be respectful to their elders. Okay, so do you understand here? It would be okay if it was the opposite, but it is very disrespectful in any culture for any child to say something bad about their parents or about anybody who is older than them. The school bus came. I guess I'll never understand the Chinese, sighed Kim as we sat down. At least we still sat together. After school, I went over to Kim's house and explained to Mrs. O'Meara about how the Chinese were supposed to sound modest about their own children. I told her that Kim had thought I meant children also had to sound modest about their parents. Mrs. O'Meara laughed. Although her laugh sounded a little forced, it was a good sign. I soon forgot about Kim's misunderstanding because I had other things to worry about. Our school orchestra was giving its spring concert, and the conductor asked me to play a cello solo as one of the numbers. Father said I should play a dance movement from one of Bach's unaccompanied cello suites. It was a very hard piece, and I was really scared to play it in public. But Father said we should always try to meet challenges. Guys, I just noticed now the meeting is going to shut off. We will continue tomorrow. Hopefully our connection will be better. And if you have any questions about the story, we will discuss it together. I will see you all tomorrow, and check Smart Schools for the note about the practice workbook. So page 59 is your homework for today. All right, I hope you guys can hear me. I will upload this video on Smart Schools.
Yes.
And I will meet with you all again tomorrow, okay?
Miss,